Good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to all of you. We are gathered here today for a special occasion, the launch of a remarkable book, Nemmi Neelam, translated by the talented Avineni Bhaskar and brought to you by Chaaya publication. I welcome Vivek, Shanbhag, Vasudhendra, Jeyamohan, Avineni Bhaskar, Arunank, Latha, and Dr. Mrinalini. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to our generous partners, Platinum partner, Ramaya University of Applied Sciences, Gold partners, Elicita, Alicia and Karnataka Tourism, Silver partners, Pali Institute, Kalaburgi and Pratna World School, Associate partners, Morris Garage, Sapna, SALT, Sheshadripuram Educational Trust, Kaveri Hospital, Selco, Siri Gramad Yoga, Kaveri Emporium, and Sri SR, whose unwavering support has made this project a success. Without further ado, it is with great excitement that we now unveil Nemmi Neelam to the world and dive into a discussion that promises to be as engaging as it is enlightening. I request you all to unveil the poster.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. I thank you, everyone, on behalf of Chaya Publications. It's so esteemed to have you all here. Like, there are many Telugu people who are especially came for release of the book from all the way to Hyderabad and across the Telugu states. So it's so honored to have you all. Dr. Mrinalini will chair this session. I'm handing over mic to Mrinalini.
Thank you, Arunank. Good afternoon to all of you. I deem myself highly privileged to be on this stage, especially with a writer whom I was recently acquainted with through his stories and whom I admire a lot. I would call him a unique Indian writer. I don't think he's confined to Tamil, though he writes in Tamil, but everybody across the country are reading him in translations anyway, and he's got fans all over the world. So I would call him an Indian writer. And that too, I would like to use the adjective unique for him rather than great or outstanding, which are anyway understood. Why I'm calling a unique writer is because nobody else writes like him. They may write better, they may write differently. They definitely don't write like him. The main thing I found about his stories was the uniqueness in the subjects he takes, in the way he follows with the subject, and in the way he reveals himself through his stories. He not just portrays the characters, but he reveals his own character, his own philosophy of life in all the 12 stories that are there in this book. It contains only 12 stories, but it is huge. From that you can guess how long each story is. You can't call him a short story writer at all. He's a long story writer. He can't write short stories. And he's not even bothered about it. And as readers, we are also not bothered about it. We don't even find the length scary. We enjoy, because it is the ultimate experience which makes us one with him. And the core of his writing has been, I would think, the values in each story. He would say probably dharma, yes, dharma, but dharma is again, I would say it's not absolute, it's relative. So when we talk about dharma, he is talking about a dharma which comes naturally to a human being and not acquired as a characteristic. That sort of dharma which has to be naturally imbibed by a person. That is the dharma that pervades all the philosophy of his stories and the subjects of his stories. Well, if I could talk more, Jeyamohan will have to talk about his own stories later. So I've already, yeah, Vasudeka Kutumbam, yeah. So because whatever he says, his sentiments, his expressions, especially his similes, his language, I am very unfortunate because I can't read him in Tamil, but I'm very fortunate because Avineni Bhaskar has made an outstanding translation. So I'm thankful to Bhaskar because now all the Telugus over here and all over the world, wherever Telugus are, they are able to read him and understand him and enjoy and also experience the experiences of Jeyamohanji, because I'm calling them experiences. He has taken more live characters in his stories than created characters. They are both created characters, but mostly live people as his characters. And whoever the character is, he becomes one with them, so that we also become one with them as well as him. So that is the unique experience I had reading his stories, and I'm sure the Telugu translation that is being released today will give you all this similar experience. So I now request Vivek Shanbhag ji to release the book and say a few words.
First of all, I must congratulate Chaaya Publications for bringing out this book and making Jeyamohan available into Telugu. Jeyamohan and I are friends for over 32 years. I'm trying to recall when I had met him first. And from the very first meeting that it was in 92, I read his story. That's how we started conversations that we have. I have been his admirer of his stories. I've read him in Kannada, and recently, in English, Stories of the True, by an excellent translation by Priyambada. I cannot assess the quality of Telugu translation, but I'm sure that the translation is good, and it will be certainly a great gift to Telugu readers. And Jeyamohan is such a writer who, if you don't read him, you will miss out something on your understanding of India, of our society. Because it is not something which is, he is a writer who goes so deep into the human behavior and human psyche, and what is it which has influenced a certain behavior. Because there are certain things, see, it is very easy for us to point at reasons for certain behavior. We always want to see excuses. This person has been into violent, he's violent because of something, he is in love because of something, he has done something. Actually, the life is beyond these excuses and reasons. And only a writer with real understanding of human behavior and the depth comes from philosophical readings and that worldview. And Jeyamohan is one of such rare writers who can provide this. These stories are about dharma. I must say I have read them only in English. I'm sure it is much more effective when one reads in Tamil. But dharma is something which is so elusive. It cannot be explained or defined. It can only be understood through fiction. And that is the thing that Jeyamohan has done excellently in these stories. I can't remember to how many people I have gifted this book to. And Jeyamohan has a very great following even in Kannada. This book is being translated into Kannada, but it is yet to come into Kannada. I wanted to start saying congratulating Jeyamohan for this book, but actually I don't want to do it. I would only want to thank him for writing this book. The congratulations must go to the publishers, because it is not Jeyamohan who is benefiting. It is we are benefiting by his translations. It is the Telugu readers who are benefiting by translations, and hence this congratulations must go to the publishers for putting this effort, because it is a lot of effort in bringing a book in another language. And Chaaya has been doing a great job. They are also my publishers. So what do I say? I must urge you, all Telugu readers, to please read this book. Buy one for yourself and one for your friend. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivek ji. Since you mentioned about the Telugu translation, I just want to give a clarification on the title of this book. The title of this book is Nemmi Neelam in Telugu. It is actually meant peacock in Tamil. He meant peacock in Tamil, but when Bhaskar translated it, he made it Nemmi Neelam. In Telugu, Nemmi doesn't mean, Nemali means peacock, as you all know, but Nemmi does not mean peacock. Nemmi has 4 or 5 meanings. It may be friendship, love, and comfort, and nemmadi, slow, nemmadi, the gentleness, as well as happiness. All these are meanings from Bharatam. You can find usage of this in Telugu Mahabharata. If I remember, it's Aranya Parva. And then again, you can read it in Annamaya. Annamacharya Kritis, Nemmi is used very often in Annamaya Kirtanas. So these are the 4 or 5 hues of the meanings, which I think is very fitting for the particular story. That particular story, Nemmi Neelam story in Tamil. So that's very, very apt for this, because there are hues in that character. The lady who wears that blue sari. So that's the main, Chandra, she's the main character. So I congratulate once again Bhaskar for getting the hues of the story also into the heading. So he managed to get that too. That's why people are wondering what is Nemmi Neelam. So unless you read the story and read about the description of the blue sari, you won't know what Nemmi Neelam means. So you have to read it. At least for that sake, you have to start reading this book immediately. So before I go to the translator, I will request Vasudhendra ji to say.
Yeah. Good afternoon. I really feel very lucky and privileged to be part of this particular event, to be sit with Mr. Jeyamohan as well as our own Vivek Shanbhag, because I consider Jeyamohan as the most important short story writer of India. There is no doubt in it. I have read a lot of translations, both in English and Kannada, but Jeyamohan is outstanding. Absolutely, there is no doubt about it. And you all must read this particular book. So what is special of this book now I'm feeling is on this stage is, Jeyamohan's mother tongue is Malayalam. He writes in Tamil, which has been translated to Telugu, and we both Kannada authors are releasing the book. Okay, so this is the true Book Brahma event, frankly. Yeah, so I feel very kind to Chaaya Publications. They are my publishers also, so they have published 4 of my books. And I feel so good whenever I meet a Telugu reader, they come and tell, I have read your book. It's very, very honor actually. So, and thanks to Chaaya Publications and Avineni Bhaskar also. I have read his previous translation. He's a wonderful translator and he has helped me in improving my Mohanaswamy as well. Okay, so in Tamil, he helped me to improve my Mohanaswamy as well. So congratulations to all. So what exactly is Aram? So Aram, he says, it's a dharma. Dharma, it's not religion. In Indian context, dharma doesn't mean religion. It has a very different meaning depending upon the context. Suppose if you go to a railway station or somewhere, if some beggar comes to you, he says, Dharma cheyandi babu. So in Kannada also we say, Dharma madi sir. What is dharma means? It's not religion, but it's a goodness, kindness, which can be there in so many forms. And he is trying to capture that dharma. Okay? So dharma is that, the kindness which is inbuilt within an individual. And how does it will come out? Is the challenges, and he is trying to find such spots, such personalities, and trying to portray like a biographies, but they are really become a very good short stories along with the biographies. So what is the technique which is used is, see, we all in Kannada, we have Jain literature. Our first writers are Jains. Okay, so we are always thankful to Jain religion. So all our first books in Kannada, in 9th century, 10th century and all, it's written by Jains. Jains, when they write the Jain philosophy, they use a unique technique. What do they do is, they take you to an endurance limit and then tell you the truth, what exactly it means. So I'll give you an example. Suppose if they need to teach you the importance of ahimsa, right? What do they do is, they keep on talking about himsa. Okay, the himsa is so bad, it can go to that level of himsa. And then finally, when you reach the climax, it's the endurance limit. Engineering students will understand what is an endurance limit. It's a breakup point, almost it will break. At that time, they reveal how important it is to be ahimsa. Okay, non-violent. So they teach you. It's same way they give lot of importance for celebrity. It's okay, so like that. So even celebrity teaching also, they keep on talking about karma. So much of karma, there's sex, so much it comes, and then they will drop you. So what does it mean? Vairagya means what? So that kind of techniques have been used. The characters you come across, like the troubles they undergo, is so high that you start feeling, is it really worth? Do we have to go to this extent? At that point, when you are at the vulnerable point, when you are at the break even, so that time he will reveal what does it mean by dharma. I slightly differ with Mrinalini Madam saying that dharma is not same for all. Each one dharma is different. My dharma is different from another dharma. It cannot be same. And for my dharma at one time is different from another time as well. So these are all very, very different things. So here, there are characters, their dharma may not be my ideology. It might not be my ideology at all. But what is important of this particular stories is, you appreciate their dharma. The paradharma sahishnata has to come to us after reading the good quality work. See, we all have the habit, especially the young readers have the habit of reading personality development books quite a lot. So I suggest better you stop that and read this book. Your personality will definitely improve, and you don't have to read any other personality development works. Okay, so books. So that kind of book it is. And there's another thing, the style wise, see, generally whenever we talk about a good literature, brilliant literature means we get a little scared because it might be boring to us. He defeats that. His style is so beautiful. It's a page turner. You cannot stop. If you start from the first page, though it's an anthology, you cannot stop anywhere. You can read it continuously. Okay? So that kind of a quality. And you can, she said this is the Indian stories, means you can see the rootedness of the Tamil culture in these stories, which is pretty good. So finally we need to all talk about our own roots and our own traditions, our own culture. That's why our regional languages, or let us say vernacular languages, or Desi languages, whatever is comfortable to us. So those are important because we are talking about our roots. We are talking about our culture. We are talking about our traditions. And we are discussing based on that. So what misses in the English literature, when they purely write on the English side, those who do not have the village experiences or country experiences, it remains only at the urban level. These are all not. None of them story happens at Chennai. So all the stories are there at the small places. And the second thing which is very important for these writing is, Jeyamohan can deal with various, what I can say, the type of people. It's not, see, generally what happens if you are a Brahmin, you get used to write only the Brahmin stories. You feel more comfortable because you have a framework. You know how the people behave there and all, you have the framework. But Jeyamohan doesn't stop there. Jeyamohan can write a Dalit story so well, a Chettiar story so well, or it could be a Brahmin family. They're all authentic. When does it happen? When can it happen? When do we write? Dalit story, a Brahmin person writing a Dalit story, when is it possible is when you think about yourself less and think more about other people. That's the only time when you can write brilliantly about someone else's story and you feel that is more important than being my autobiographical stories. Though Jeyamohan can be seen here and there in the narration, but that is so small. It's just temporary, that's all. But the main story are so different. Okay, so in that fashion, I found these stories. One more thing, which is very, very, I'm mesmerized is, he has written all these stories in 40 days' time. Continuously in 40 days. I can't even copy it in Kannada. If you give me, I can't even copy it in 40 days. And he has written the original one so beautifully. And unfortunately, even I cannot read him in Tamil. So I don't know Tamil. I read all Priyamvada's translation, the beautiful translation of Priyamvada. I read it. They are good. But I feel more comfortable to read it in Telugu, most probably, because I can read Telugu. So very slow, but I can read Telugu. So and I know Avineni Bhaskar's translation, which is outstanding. So I would try to read the Telugu version. So I may get more closer to the Tamil stories than English, actually. So it's not degrading Premvada's translation. She has done a wonderful job, but still I want our stories to be told in one of the Indian languages, but not a non-Indian language. Okay. After all these things, I have one doubt, which I would like to present. Don't consider it as my arrogance. What we say is actually what I have believed in life is there are two things. One is dharmatma, someone who follows dharma. And one is rakshasa, who doesn't follow the dharma. Okay? So what I have always felt is all human beings stand in between this spectrum. Either they might be closer to dharmatma, or they might be closer to the rakshasa, or might stand in between somewhere. That's where the gray shades I see. But what happens here is in this, is like, I feel like it's something totally idealistic characters. Do they exist like that? Is the doubt I get. But I feel that is my limitation of exposure to the world. He has definitely much higher exposure to the world than me he would have seen, because most of them are real life characters. I think all of them are real life characters, and either he has met them or he has heard to someone. But what happens is, someone, when you are trying to convey a story, you need to make sure that you believe it. That is very important. Okay. Yeah, but realistic narration is different for making you believe is different. Because if I go to a story, there is one story, it's about a person. Okay, I'm just finishing it up. Yeah. So if you go to the Kailash Manas Sarovar, actually he goes on explaining the Kailash Manas Sarovar, so how he felt and all. So I'm a Kailash Manas Yatri. I have done that trekking myself. So I feel those details are not correct. They are not honest at all. So it doesn't happen like that at all in the Kailash Manas Sarovar. It's very different. But he makes you to believe it. He feels that it's good, like, yeah, it's true. There is no question about it. He makes you to believe. That's why it's a powerful writing. So with all that, I can keep on talking about these stories. I don't want to reveal about stories because you are going to read it. But one thing I'll say, if you don't read it, you are going to miss a lot. Please buy the book and read it immediately. So this book, okay? So thanks to Chaaya publication. Congratulations to Jeyamohan and Avineni Bhaskar. And thanks to you all.
Thank you, Vasudhendra. Yeah, you and I can discuss later about dharma. That's a different question. As you said, he wrote it in 40 days. Just now I was talking to him. He was telling me that he is natural only when he is writing. The rest of his life is unnatural. But so naturally, he could write in 40 days 12 stories. So that is the life he knows and he enjoys. So now I'd like to ask Avineni Bhaskar whether he would say. Pardon? First, sir. Okay, okay. Okay. So since I have already said that you live with your creation and you write at least how many hours a day? 20 hours? Okay, okay. So another thing about that Kailash Yatra story, I think it was more a heart journey, a soul journey than a physical journey. So that is what I mean. I'm not going to say much because I've written the foreword for this book, this Telugu. Most of what I felt about the stories is already there. So it's more a soul journey than a physical journey. So we may need not count the physical details of the story. So anyway, I would like to ask Jeyamohan to say a few words about his book and his experience.
Namaskara to everybody. I'm not going to talk much because it's a very important occasion for me. My book is being published in a friendly language and the language of Tamil Nadu also. I have to say one thing. I'm immensely happy to see my close friend Arangasamy in this crowd because he is the man who created a readers forum for me, which has branches in US and Europe and throughout Tamil Nadu. And he's a Telugu person. So seeing my book in a Telugu language is a great thing. So I have to say something about this book. Like any other writer writing in India, and who is a modern writer, has naturally a negativity in his life. He used to write the negative viewpoints only. The disbelief on ethics, the disbelief on values is the natural course of a modern writer. I was also in that trend. I wrote a very complicated and naturally very negative work which is called Vishnupuram. Essentially it's a spiritual book, but it is a dark book also. And I wrote some other books like that. And eventually I had a belief in idealism also because I met great people personally. I used to travel a lot to meet great people. If I heard about some great person, I used to travel to meet him. So majority of the characters in this novel are personally known to me, or either persons too close to that character also known to me. Then suddenly, at 2010, I lost my idealism. I felt that I am losing my idealism at the age of 50. Suddenly, I felt that I have a darkness inside me. You may heard about that period. A lot of political anomalies are erupted at that time, and a lot of corruption charges are in the air at that time. And suddenly I felt I lost the idealism in my life. And one day I remembered the hero of the story, Aram. And I started to write. I completed the story at a single stretch. It's a very long story. And I came down to kitchen, had a coffee, and started writing next story. So continuously I wrote these 12 stories and published them in my site. At the time, I think Times of India published a news about this story. Lightning strikes every day. That's the title of that news because it was an event at that time in Tamil. I would like to say something about the story of the IAS officer. He's very close to me even now. He's living in Mumbai now. He's like a brother to me. He saved me from some problems in life, particularly in my job. I wrote an article against Indian government and the Indian peacekeeping force invading into Tamil Nadu, into Tamil areas of Sri Lanka, and I was suspended from my job, and he helped me to come back to the job. I personally know him very well. So I wrote the story. Actually, I wrote the story in 1991, a version. And my close friends read the story, and everybody said it is not correct. The story is not, has that impact. So after 20 years, I started to write the story again. So now the story became very powerful and very effective. What's the difference? One, the first version, I wrote Avan, he. In the second version, I wrote as me. That's the difference. In this second version, there is empathy. That empathy means feeling the pain of the person in my life. That was the change happened in me also. That's why the stories become very, very big success. And this is the visiting card of my writing in Tamil, in Malayalam, and now in Telugu also, even in English also. The aesthetics of these stories are not my aesthetics actually. It's aberration in my writing. I am labeled as a very complicated writer, writing a very, very subtle and complicated words. These are not so subtle or not so complicated words. These are like, I can label these stories as modern Puranas. I mean, mythologies. Modern. I'm creating modern mythologies. See, Elephant Doctor K, he died at 2004. A small news was published at that time in Hindu. Apart from that, there was no obituaries, no notes, anything about him. And I wrote the story. I created a myth. I created a Purana against him, about him. Now he is the icon of Tamil Nadu. Through a single story, I placed him in the history. Now the story is in the 9th standard lesson, even in Tamil Nadu and Kerala. In Kerala, it is in 8th standard. In Tamil Nadu, it is 9th standard. So this is the writing can do. So what's the difference? A modern writer is always writing about himself. He is very self-centric. He has an ego. That's why he won't respect any other persons. Or other persons are simply characters to him. So I suspended my creative ego in this work. So I felt like I'm a bard. Robert Frost once said, "You have to believe me because I am a bard." So I am a bard. I have a duty to sing great people. I have a duty to sing great heroes. They are the heroes of the history. And I'm a singer of the heroes. So that humbleness made this book. That's the reason why this book is so popular in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, and English and other languages. Because it is written by a simple bard about the heroes of our time. So I know the great persons I narrated in this work. Almost everybody I personally know. And about the narration, always I change the reality because it is not realistic story. These are mythologies. So I change the story according to the structure of the mythology. You can narrate any of these story. The only exception is Nemmi Neelam, I mean, Mail Kadithu. That story cannot be narrated to a child. But the 11 stories, you can narrate the stories to a child. The child will enjoy it. But if you are a sensitive literary reader, if you are a good reader, you can get more meanings, more layers in any story. So, for example, Elephant Doctor is a very popular story in Tamil Nadu. Almost every child used to narrate the story in his school. In many homes, I used to ask children, come on, tell me a story. Immediately the girl or boy starts to tell the Elephant Doctor story to me. They don't know me. So the story is independent from me now. But for a serious kind of reader, he can spot a major simile in the story, the worm and elephant. the dichotomy or the dialectics of elephant and worm, that's the core of the story. That's only for serious literary kind of reader. That's the kind of reading. That's why even in Peruveli, I mean Jatra, I changed the topography for a simple version, for a simple Purana version. But the story is real. I know the person is Komal Swaminathan. He traveled all the way to, he has cancer he had cancer in his spine, and with that pain he traveled all the way to Kailash in his last days, and he died after 6 months. So that's the story. But I made it simple. That is not so simple to go to Kailash. I traveled Kailash 2 times. I know very well the topography. But it's not a travel epilogue. So it's a kind of Purana. So the Purana must be like this. You can narrate it to a child. Then only it will survive. See, there is a very popular saying by N.V. Krishnavariyar in Malayalam. The most creative part of Ramayana is the tales of the Vanaras. So, through that tale, the Ramayana story can be narrated to any child. He will remember it. Till his life, end of death, he will remember the story. That's why I wrote these stories. When I am writing the stories, I intended that this must be read by everybody in Tamil Nadu. The story can be orally narrated to any child. Then only it will survive. That's the starting point of my creative works. And I wrote a lot about mythology, history, and every great things. So I'm very happy to see the book. It's a very good production. And I had, in the first 2 days, almost every Telugu people come to me and says, Avineni Bhaskar's language, style is excellent. He actually created a new wave, new style in Telugu. So I was extremely happy to hear that. And I am thankful to my close friend for a long time from Mr. Vivek Shanbhag. Actually, I translated his stories through English to Tamil and published a book. And I am thankful to Vasudhendra. I met him at Jaipur. And Madam, I met her yesterday. And I came to know that she is the younger sister of Balagopal, and I know met him once. So this is a very pleasant day. I'm thankful to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I think you answered all the asked and unasked questions also about your stories. And yesterday he was telling us that he tried meditation but failed because he's too imaginative. So that is very, very evident in the books. If you create a myth in these times, it's not easy. But I also wanted to say that the stories are like the upakhyanas that we have in Mahabharata. So they're more in that epic storytelling method. So he himself has said that they're more like upakhyanas. Go through when we all read our Telugu Bharata, you know the upakhyanas, how they are told. The narrators are more or less like that stories, the rishis who tell the upakhyanas. So there are many, many other things we can say about the stories, but I would now like to ask Bhaskar his experience in translating the stories.
One small interruption. Sir, Kamal Haasan is even an ardent Tamil film actor Kamal Haasan is an ardent fan of.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. My friend Vasudhendra, whom I know for almost 9 years, we've been talking on our phone very regularly for coming here. And Vivek Shanbhag sir, and Mrinalini ma'am, and Jeyamohan sir for giving this book for me. This kind of gave me an opportunity to translate into Telugu. And everybody in Telugu who read my stories, they have appreciated my Telugu because it was different. I have to thank the division of Andhra and Tamil Nadu that has happened. Of course, not many would like it that way, but I like that way because my Telugu is not corrupted by the Telugu of Telugu land, Telugu Desam. Sorry, again it's a political Telugu lands and Telugu Nadu. Okay. So we still speak the language in Telugu format, not Telugu format. So we still use Arasunna. That is the way Telugu should be pronounced. Telugu, not Telugu. But that corruption has not happened in our part of the land. So we still say Mellanga, not Mellaga. So we still use the Arasunna. When I started learning Telugu, around when I was 20 years old, I started with Annamaya, where every word used Arasunnas. Almost every line you'll see 4 or 5 Arasunnas, which was very natural to me. For me, reading was not difficult. Whereas if I had to take a modern Telugu, I had really struggled to read because that Arasunna, if it is missing, I'm not able to pronounce it, that word rightly. So I was not influenced by the films or the main media of Telugu by then when I started reading. So the Annamaya or Pothana, who wrote, that was so easy to me. And also I've been hearing Pothana in my home from my when I was 3 years or 4 years old. The Pothana made me, though I didn't know the script, how to read, but I had Pothana within me. I knew Pothana Padyams, every Padyam with Arasunnas. That's how our parents or everybody used to sing. So that is I had to thank my classical literature exposure, my parents and my surroundings who gave me that exposure. So that's all. The book is here. And sorry for rejecting when you gave me mic to talk. I wanted Jeyamohan sir to talk first because the time is very limited. So the book is available behind the stage. So you just purchase and sir will sign. And the title, right, it's Nemmi has about 25 meanings, which I knew all those meanings without even checking the dictionary. It has, peacock is the one meaning, which everybody will know, but there are many other meanings, but this, for this story, this book, especially that particular title story, it suits so well. That's why we have named it. So otherwise, the original story book was Aram, which we would have converted into Dharmam. So we discussed on that title, to keep that title or not. So that will become like any Pravachanakarta who preaches the Dharma, right? Like in the modern, So the publisher really wanted to avoid the title. So that's why we picked this subtitle. So we will catch up some other time after you all read the books, we'll catch up.
Sir, one small interruption. Many Telugu readers feel that translations were not written by Avineni Bhaskar, but Jeyamohan sir himself. Because it was so natural.
I thank this whole panel. Vivek, Shanbhag, Garu. Yeah, you can ask questions. Okay. So if anybody wants to say anything to Jeyamohan Garu, you can go ahead, ask any questions, or because this is not a panel discussion, this is a writer's forum. So the writer himself is here. If you want to say something to him, please go ahead.
Okay, so I will just take 2 minutes if there is no question. So about the translation, right? If there is one writer in any language, that writer, one translator is not enough. We need at least for one writer, 10 translators. So if there are 10 writers in your language, let us say in Tamil, if there should be 10 Telugu translators to translate, because for one person translating all one writers itself is impossible. A writing is a spontaneous act, okay? But translation shouldn't be a spontaneous act. It has to be fine-tuned, refined. So any translation I've been doing for last 10 years, it is been edited by 4 different people at least 10 times, by 4 different people. So that is the thing I've been following. I'll follow this forever. So if that is followed, automatically the translation quality will be all right. And also the translator is not important. The main, that is the translator mind should have that. That you have to register that I am not the face of this book, the original writer. So I am just a bridge. The travelers will just cross across me. That's it. So I am not going to travel. That is the mindset a translator should have. He should not put his face. So if that humbleness is there in a translator, the translation will come with that honest and quality output.
Maybe to make you buy this book more interestingly, I'll tell you one more fact about Jeyamohan. Jeyamohan has written a novel which is around 26,000 pages. And it is seen 4 editions. Okay, in Tamil it has seen 4. It is about Mahabharata. And I have read original Mahabharata of Veda Vyas in Kannada translation. it is bigger than that. So Mahabharata is bigger than that. So that is the kind of capacity so Jeyamohan has. It's not easy, and you don't get a chance to meet such a person very often. Definitely.
You can just pick up the book and get the signature from the sir.
Yeah, I'll take a copy. I'll take this copy. I want to read this. Yeah.